So just a quick reminder, guys, the top 8 is, I say this as I'm not prepared to actually list it all off. All right, so it is, stop reloading. Our matches are Laurier versus Jocelyn, Peaches versus Rob, Ben versus Kim, and Christine versus JT. So of course that means on the top table, we'll just switch over to it now, we have Jocelyn and Laurier. So of course these are best of 3 rounds for 15 minutes apiece. I've got one of our other players here with me who will be doing some commentating. This is Nick here.
Hello, and it's nice to be back here, and I came in ninth, so I did defend the 9th place finish from last year, so that was a nice touch. So it's great to join the streaming side again this year, so it's going to be interesting to see who comes out on top this year, but, you know.
Yep. All right, so like I said, guys, we will be getting started momentarily. You see everyone, they're just setting up right now. Let's just grab their lists.
That would be helpful, I'm sure.
So are you 4-0? That game that Ben and I played could have gone either way.
All right, so just as a quick reminder, the teams they are running. Actually, I'm going to get the event started. I'll be back in a moment.
Just like yours is a little different.
All right, so Laurier is playing a awakened team with Storm the Moloch champion, Billy Club Tool of Justice, the Atom Professor, Shriek Sonic Boom, Clayface Restless, Psylocke Reforming X-Force, Mimic Flying, Blasting, Slashing, and Green Devil Mask Lesser Trap with Energy Field and Resurrection as his basic actions.
Yeah, so now, of course, then Jocelyn, I actually believe we've seen both these teams on the stream at least once before, but Jocelyn is running Energy Field, Doom Lance, Kate Bishop Straight, Black Widow Agent, Clayface Restless, Shriek Sonic, Atom Professor, Atlas Purged, Grey Hunter, Son of Russ, and Asarak. So we've basically got, I believe, 2 Atom teams playing off against each other. So we'll see how this goes. All right, so yet again, just like last time Laurier was on stream, he's starting off by buying a Billy Club, although he both times has made comments saying that doesn't feel like the right move.
Yeah, but it's the only move that he can make.
Yep. Very standard thing we've seen most of the day is buying Shrieks early.
Yeah, buying a control piece is key against some of these bigger hitting teams with stuff you want to control.
Yep.
And I think that's what messed me up in my last matchup, where I could have swung for a game, but I was too precautious by keeping the control pieces on board to control my opponent for that additional turn.
Yeah, which happens.
Yeah.
All right. So Laurier's bought his Atom already and done a bit of prep.
Yeah. Just by playing Laurier in locals, he's very good at just overall managing the game to make sure he gets the right things at the right times, which is a big key in this.
Yep. All right, based on those breakdowns, curious to see if she's planning on buying a 2-cost, 3-cost, or if she's just simply going to go into her Atom and do a little prep with Atlas.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, reroll first, sure. All right, I'm curious to see if Jocelyn will consider using the Billy Club or not. No, she's going for control. That's fine. Oh, there's the Billy Club play after a Clayface.
Mm-hmm. And she just knows she could have got the Atom.
It's more that she ended up with 3 energy that she's not sure what to spend on.
Mm-hmm.
So there's an Atlas.
Mm-hmm.
And early Grey Hunter, just for that cheap character to get the extra energy.
Mm-hmm. Well, also she can go into the Doom Lance with the Grey Hunter, so she has very flexible plays there. and it's the deadly one.
Thank you.
You're
for
welcome.
clarifying that.
Well, she was here playing our normal Thursday night event at Multi-Zone, and I faced her. Or I didn't face her, but she was talking about that Grey Hunter, and I was watching one of her games.
This, then this. I can first do this. In fact, I'm first going to Clayface.
Well, it looks like Laurier missed his roll for the Atom. So no damage yet for Jocelyn. She still has time to get that Widow around.
Clayface, one of these.
Using Clayface to swap a mask for a wild, basically.
Psylocke.
He's going to a Psylocke to just thin out his bag later.
Yep.
4.
We'll spend that 4 on a Mimic.
Mimic?
Yes.
And I'm going to res.
And a res at the end.
Over to you.
3 in the bag. Marginally better, but not as good as I would have liked.
All right, so we've got a Shriek on Jocelyn's side. Although she missed the Widow. I would assume she's going to re-roll that Widow because getting both pieces would be better.
Yeah.
Although it would likely mean she would just be using Atlas or Res after that. Oh,
Oh, must have done a re-roll while we were.
I missed the re-roll.
Yeah.
Going to put this on to remember.
So Shriek on Atom.
Sure, let's do it.
I will Atlas and Res.
Okay.
Double prep via Atlas and Res. And a Bolt left behind, which is unlikely to matter.
Yeah. There's no bolt globals on either team, I don't think.
Fantastic. No reroll needed. This
So-
triggers energize right away. I feel the psychic from my use pile.
So that's Energized play, which is a really nice use of that Psylocke.
Yeah. That,
Especially when it gives you those 2 masks as well for the global.
yep.
I'm going to field Mimic, naming your Shriek. You reroll both dice.
Mimic versus Shriek.
Both are KO.
Both hit energy, so both get KO'd.
Adam is no longer.
Correct? So I can...
Adam is live once again on Laurier's side, although he doesn't have it on the board, so it's not going to make much of a difference yet.
Yeah.
So I can do this. Yeah, I'm going to Clayface twice. Once with my Clayface, your Clayface. And then
That was 2 Clayface globals.
this allows me to buy a Storm.
Here comes Storm Morlock for more removal options.
It is very tempting to mess up my bag, but I will resist that temptation. I will res.
So we've got a Res as Laurier continues to try and maintain how his bag is laid out.
I will then pass priority. Fingers crossed. Pass turn to you.
All right, so Laurier is basically trying to make sure that he doesn't refill his bag on his next draw. Otherwise, I would have expected he'd have used Atlas as well.
But then again, as I've said, Laurier definitely has good bag management.
Yep. And as Jocelyn just made a comment to Laurier about, she basically rolled perfect if she was playing an Iceman team. However, she's playing an Atom team, so not so much.
Yeah, that's painful when you see other roles that would be good for other teams, and it's c'est la vie.
Yep. And she rolls and ends up with a sidekick. Which, at worst, can still be a mask from Billy Club, like she's doing right now.
I'll spend that Clayface.
And then into a Clayface for more energy options.
This to field Shriek, once again naming for Adam.
Shriek back on Atom. And now I expect an Atom buy on her side.
I will spend 4 on an Adam.
Yep. And there's the Atlas Global.
Yep.
Pass back. Okay. Okay, that's nice.
So got the Atom and Storm.
Yep. However, currently that Atom is blanked, but the Storm will allow him to try and correct that.
Yep.
I can use otherwise for that. Oh, that's nice.
And a Mimic, which also may correct the issue for him.
So he's definitely got a decent advantage right now.
However, as it stands, he will not be able to use the Atom's effect too many times due to costs for everything else.
Right.
By fielding my Atom. So this is level 1, this is level 2. This is level 2, that's great. We've blanked him, but I can get around that now. Billy Club this.
So there's a Billy Club Global to gain a bit of energy.
Clayface.
Clayface in order to increase the energy.
To field Mimic, miming your Shriek.
Here comes Mimic versus Shriek.
Yes. So your Shriek is KO'd and my thing becomes a Shriek.
They
It's not a shriek shrieking anything.
We should clarify that with Shaheen.
all right. Just I got to go do a judge
Yeah.
thing. Be right back.
I
Okay.
think we need a ruling on that because I didn't expect it to happen.
So, yeah. Sometimes there's interesting interactions come up where just clarification.
So if you feel the second Mimic, you can use the Shriek effect at that time
Okay.
because you already hit field when getting the one field effect.
Okay, but for now he's not blanking anything, not, including my own Atom.
But he would have the shriek status.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he's a level 3. No, wait, correction. It does not say that.
It's a copying die.
Yeah. It does not say that he returns to the previous fate he had. Is what I was checking.
No.
All right, so just for a quick recap, there was a minor ruling question about Mimic copying Shriek and whether or not it would be able to name anything. However, it gained the one fielded effect after it was already on the field, therefore it would not name anything as a Shriek,
Clayface.
and they just wanted to clarify that.
Okay. So I'm going to use Awaken on Atom twice. So spin. So mask. I'm going to put global.
So there's 2 Awaken triggers on the Atom for 4 damage.
And I'm going to regret this because I'm going to mess up my bag, but I kind of have to. Yeah, because I want to. Actually, no, wait. Pass priority. Declare an attack step with Mimic here.
Attacking with Mimic just to get it off the board. The question is, does Jocelyn take the damage, or does she block, causing it to be KO'd?
Be declared, I will spin him down with the energy field global to spin Storm up, re-rolling your Grey Hunter.
Using the Awaken to get rid of the Grey Hunter.
Well, what do you you take 2 damage. Because he's a 2 please. So they're both level 2 now. And it's your turn.
3 dice on my bag.
Yep.
Behind the 8 ball here. So
All right, let's see if Jocelyn can catch up, as she feels she's behind currently. The Shriek will help with that. So will the Atom, that's nice.
And the 3 masks is good.
Yeah, keeping the Grey Hunter on double mask makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Oh, and she got the other control piece. There's her Widow.
So field Black Widow. Field Shriek, naming your Atom.
Atom is blanked once again.
Field Atom level 2.
Yeah.
I expect we'll see 3 Atom triggers here.
Yep.
Actually, possibly 2 with the ability to use Clayface to do it twice more on Laurier's turn.
Oh, so Clayface is not on your turn.
Correct. You can do it on
Okay.
either player's turn. So she now has a target for it
Yep.
on Laurier's turn. So she'll sit there like that. It's the same thing that
Yeah.
Laurier is doing right now.
Awaken on Storm. Re-rolling your Shriek first.
And attempting to use Storm to get rid of Shriek. Did not succeed this time.
Again.
I expect, yep, there's a second try. And she's gone.
And
Now an Atom trigger, I expect.
again on your Widow.
Oh, that also makes sense. Uses the Awaken off of Storm to try and get rid of the last control piece, but it survives.
And I will enter.
All this goes in my bag. All my nice bag management has now now gone to waste. So, 1, 2,
Well,
Well-
Laurier now has a big bag, and he's trying to deal with it.
Yeah, well, part of it too is if you face a strong control team, sometimes bag management is not a good thing.
reroll these two, kill these two. Okay, I'm gonna Atlas for sure.
So we're starting with an Atlas Global.
I will. Awaken Storm, targeting your Atom. Yes. In returns, yes. One more time. Very good. And one more time on your Widow. Okay, back to the, yeah, that was her original fist. Your turn. Oh, your priority. And your,
Oh, that didn't do the Clayface play there.
May not have been her main focus.
Oh, your Atom is no longer shrinking, right?
that's true. Thank you.
Oh, seeing as Shriek is no longer on the table, just a reminder to clean up so that Adam is live again.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm going to spend 1 to field Atom level 3.
Do a nice big Adam there.
Yep.
Billy Club Global. See if she can do some damage with that Adam, I expect.
Yep.
Face 1.
There's the Clayface effect I was talking about earlier.
Yep.
She's got up to 5 triggers for Adam for 10 damage if she wants to push that hard.
Which would catch her back up quickly at this point.
I'm going to make hay while the sun shines. I'm going to spin 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
And there's 5 Awaken triggers on her Adam for 10 damage to Laurier.
That's it. That's the priority in turn.
4. Okay, now. Of course, I had to stay in there. Okay. That will work. That's
Alright.
nice.
Well, we've got a Mimic. We'll see what it does. The
Yeah.
sidekicks, 2 sidekicks isn't great.
One sidekick reroll rest.
Interesting. He's hoping he doesn't get a second sidekick again.
Okay, that I'm not even going to bother fielding.
Nope. He ended up hitting Psylocke on a character face, which doesn't help him. He
Yep.
just wants it to create sidekicks and energize, as well as the energy itself, so it'll go into use, never being touched.
Targeting your Widow.
Mimic into Widow.
She's KO'd. My Mimic.
Oh, so because when on Mimic's effect, both characters came back on character face, Jocelyn's Widow gets KO'd. Mimic then takes on the effects by copying the Widow.
And gets the stats as well.
Correct. The more important thing, though, is the effects,
yeah.
as it now means that Jocelyn's Atom only does 1 damage per trigger instead of 2.
Yep.
I can get. Yes, I know. I am counting it.
I wasn't sure if it was hidden from the type.
So Laurier is trying to see how much damage he can push through at this point.
Okay.
Yeah, it's got to the point of the game where they have to be really judgmental with their
Well,
plays.
be careful.
Yeah.
How many dice in bag?
All right. Laurier is just trying to weigh all his options.
The odds of you getting 6 masks is low, but do I want to risk it? No. Pass priority and turn.
All right, so he's ending sitting on 2 masks. I expect this is so that he, if he has to, he can use Storm. Otherwise, he'll go back to the damage from the Atom.
Yep.
Loser chooses from the previous game.
Yeah, I'm happy with that. It's fine. I think there's a rule where you roll for third, and sometimes I do that. I don't know.
I will field Black Widow.
Yeah, she's got the Black Widow back. the bad thing here is having two sidekicks, but at least Billy Club could get one away. Yeah, gets at least one dice out of bag. And then Atlas play.
You've got a widow now. Be 1 point. I will go ahead and spin the atom once for 1 point.
Okay, she spins it.
I will play face Psylocke. There's no transition when I So, spin down, spin up, storm, targeting your widow.
So going in to take out the Widow.
I'll do it a second time.
It's KO'd.
She wasn't, yeah.
It was double mask.
So it's not KO'd, it's used.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
No worries. I'll play face again. This time, my atom twice. You take 10 damage. You take 4 damage.
All right, so as was mentioned earlier in the comments, there was a slight misplay by both players in that the last time the storm succeeded,
Spin bag.
the target was put into prep instead of used. However, this time they did notice and they correctly put it into used.
Okay. I might have game here.
Laurier may have
Yeah,
game.
yeah, he probably has it there.
Energy field 5 times.
That's 10 damage off of the energy field.
There's
All
game
right,
1.
game 1.
They're
one
now on
done.
to game 2.
Yes.
So now we go to game 2.
And for reference, we are 20 minutes into the 50-minute round.
Okay, so I get to choose this time as loser?
Correct.
Okay, I will go first.
Very well.
When you're ready.
I am ready. Always ready. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it's reset life is key.
Good luck.
To use one.
All right, Jocelyn chose to go first as she had lost.
I'm going to go right ahead and start with the widow. Pass to you.
She starts out with a widow instead of a shriek. Interesting.
Okay. This is interesting.
Well, also, I think it evolves depending on what your opponent did the first game to what your reliance is on.
Gonna play face
Fair.
her in on double mask. And pay 3 for a storm. That's priority.
So got Storm and Psylocke on Laurier's turn, so he's definitely trying to have somewhat control, but also get bag manipulation going with the Energize ability.
I'm going to Atlas first,
There's an Atlas trigger.
and then I'm going to buy a shriek.
And now she goes into her Shriek play.
Okay. Oh, so you're going heavy control.
Well, basically what she did last time, except she switched the order.
Fascinating. Fascinating order of operations now. Did we die? Okay. Because I want. Okay, so you've got Widow coming up for sure. So she needs to be there. So I'm gonna Clayface in Psylocke, Clayface in Sidekick.
Oh yeah, they have double Clayface going, eh?
Correct. A very important piece on this team.
Yep.
Over to you.
Okay. 4 in the bag and 2 to the widow, plus the 1 I pressed plus.
Hopefully she can get her widow. Not this time, but those 3 wilds are nice.
Yeah, really nice having wilds.
There's the widow.
If you were running a fix-it team, you just kept that initial roll, my goodness.
I would have, yeah.
Oh yeah, that'll fix a team. That would have been golly at first.
Go ahead. Field Black Widow level 3.
I find that interesting. She chose to use the wild to field it as opposed to the fist.
But sometimes in the heat of the moment, you definitely don't think stuff through and you just move a dice when it's not the right one, and then you realize it a bit later.
Does happen, although I expect at the same time at this point she's likely just buying something, so the fist may not matter versus the wild.
True.
This is not the bag control you were looking for.
As if nothing else, that fist is still an Atlas play.
True. But also, like having 3 question marks, you could do 2 clay faces to get some other energy, and then have the wild to do whatever energy you
And
needed.
there's the clay face. And an atom.
Yep.
Do not like my bag, and I'm going to
Jocelyn's a little concerned about how full her bag's about to be.
Yeah.
My usual shenanigans with back control, so reroll these two for sure. Otherwise, don't need to feel that much.
Oh, there's an Atom, but on bottom face, which means with no other characters, it can't actually be used with Energy Field right now.
Yeah.
Okay, so how do I do this?
So Laurier still needs a level 2 character at some point.
The face you don't want him on, you know? Oh, yes.
Favorite Adam face.
Yes. Oh, by far. Now,
Well, at least it'd be good practice for when Energy Field becomes pretty much polymorph or mutation kind of idea after
True.
this.
That's just a quick reminder that there was a recent errata to Energy Field so that its global will act more similar to the global on Polymorph, meaning that it has to have a different target for the spin down than the spin up. However, that errata was chosen not to be applied to Canadian nationals as it was determined and announced very close, as in earlier this week.
Which is very fair for players that were using the static field as it is now, and it definitely would have changed teams and whatnot. So yeah. So it's definitely nice, but still, like since polymorph or mutation's been around, I'd still say it could have been used since it's the same general idea.
Yeah, well, it's the nature of when you change wording on a card.
Yep.
Sometimes unexpected side effects occur.
True.
You have a mimic in your bag and a Psylocke in your bag.
correct.
Jocelyn's trying to decide what she should be using that Shriek on, reminding herself of what Laurier has in her bag, which is a Psylocke and a Mimic.
Well, I'm going to field that, level 1, and I'm going to shriek your mimic.
My mimic? Okay.
Oh, and she chooses to blank the Mimic.
Now your Adam is not much of a threat this turn. The mimic can take some of my stuff. Let's start with that. And then I could...
No, there is a storm purchase. You can see the edge of the dice right there.
set up for next turn.
Okay.
Priority and
Okay. Falling bags. Okay, that's not quite what I had in mind.
So yeah, so nonetheless, she has blanked the Mimic, which makes reasonable sense, as it means that that Mimic can't copy her Black Widow.
Or copy the Shriek or deal with stuff like that.
The Shriek's not a big deal. The copying the Widow's a big
Right,
deal.
right.
Perfect. Yeah, because she's level 2 right now, so I can actually...
Yep.
You haven't blanked Adam, so even though it'll only be 1 damage, aha, spin down, spin up.
First blood.
Yes. Okay.
But at least now with it at level 2 Adam, he can use the spin techniques on Adam alone now.
Reorganizing my stuff here. Okay. So you've got Adam coming up.
So we've had an interesting point made in the comments that because Mimic has now been blanked, Laurier will likely be trying to roll it for that double mask to be able to double trigger
I'm going
any of his awakens.
Clay face twice to bring a couple sidekicks. So your sidekick, your clay face, my clay face. Then I'm going to play 2 for another Psylocke. And I'm going to resurrect.
So there you saw Laurier using Clayface's Global primarily just as bag control in order to get sidekicks out of his use pile before he reses.
Right. And also getting that second Psylocke gives him better chances at the energizes and also getting potentially 4 masks if he has 2 Psylocks going, which is big with that Adam.
Okay. To field Adam level 3. I'm going to...
Jocelyn's got her big Atom, which means she can start doing damage.
Okay, I'm going to
So there's an Adam trigger 3 times, 6 damage. And Jocelyn ends there.
Well, it's interesting to see like an Adam mirror match somewhat is pretty evenly matched up until bad luck or heavy control.
Yep.
That, if one shield is good, that's not actually necessary. I've got a psychic on the field already. That works.
All right, so we now have that storm coming in.
Okay.
We'll see if he uses it to remove things or if he looks for damage.
Yeah, and there's the energized plate.
Allows me a chance to start some shenanigans. Okay. I field storm, also level 1. Billy Club.
There's a Billy Club to get himself an extra awaken,
Down Adam.
basically.
Up storm.
There's a storm trigger. Trying to get rid of her Adam. Succeeds.
Yes.
There goes the Adam to used.
So storm is now level 2, Adam level 1. That's not going to last because.
I do find it interesting that he chose to get rid of the Adam over the Black Widow at this moment.
Well, he does in theory have 3 masks, so he can still play around with that.
For sure.
Then I'm gonna
And there's a Clayface to get himself more masks. A couple of
prep, and I've got this
prep
left in
globals.
my reserve pool right now. So spin down storm, spin up Adam.
There's an Adam trigger. For 2 damage. Oh, 1 damage due to that Black Widow,
I forgot.
Yeah.
which apparently Laurier forgot was there.
Let's go after your nasty removal. Spin it down.
And now there's a storm on the Widow since he's been reminded it exists.
She's gone.
And over to the used.
Deal you 2.
Adam trigger again for another 2 damage.
To keep you on a nice even number.
Uh,
Was not at all a stupid brain fight. Over to you.
All right, and Laurier sits on 1 energy. I expect we'll see a Clayface play or 2 on Jocelyn's turn in order for him to do more damage. However, currently Jocelyn missed her Black Widow. If she can get it, she'll be good. If not, it'll hurt.
oh, there we go. She's got well, both level 1, so she can't awaken, but at least she's got some sort of defense right now.
It's the defense that matters more at this moment.
Yeah.
Field level 1. Field level 1.
Oh, should have been attacking. My mistake. Yep.
Laurier realized he could have attacked to get his Psylocke off the board.
Her and I imagine a fast. I imagine.
There's a second Clayface that he has 3 energy.
Spin down Adam. Spin up storm going after your Widow.
Storm trigger on Widow. Makes sense. There goes the Widow.
Then the other 2 masks are going to be spin down, spin up, take 2.
And then 2 triggers of the Adam.
Yes.
That's it.
Like the one thing with the Adam team I'm looking at now is, like with Jocelyn's using the Doom Lance and her
Grey Hunter?
Grey Hunter. Wouldn't it be better maybe filling this pack so like in a situation like this you could still prep a dice with a mask when you don't have anything at a decent level for the spin up spin down feature?
The thing is, she wouldn't have space for the villainous pact, right? Because she wants that Doom Lance as a backup plan.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then she needs the energy field. So
Yeah. I just didn't think there would be a back because I think the Psylocke would be better in Grey Hunter's slot because as we've seen with Laurier, he's been able to thin out his bag every now and then, which is key.
it's quite possible. The Grey Hunter was an interesting choice.
Yeah.
But for sure, it's not part of the standard consideration for this team.
Your Widow's gone. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4. You've got at least 4 dice in bag because you've got 4 sidekicks for sure. What else did you buy?
Laurier's just trying to work out what Jocelyn has in her bag, as he wants to see if he can push for game, or at least close enough to be lethal next round.
Yeah, and have some safety of safety net basically.
Made a mild mistake last turn, but it's not going to make a huge difference, I don't think. Because I can do 1, 2, 3, 4, then Billy Club 5. Bring you down to 2.
Right, so he's worked out that he can trigger Adam 5 times, which is 10 damage. It's how does he get the last 2?
Yeah, that's all sidekicks. You've got no way to deal with this. Yeah, so I'm gonna energy field. Oh, sorry, that was a mask. Energy field 3 times with Adam.
So 3 triggers of Adam for 6 damage.
6. And then I'm gonna pass priority. Attack those 2.
And then 2 attacks in from Laurier. Try and clear out his board a little bit. And if she blocks, potentially give him some masks next round.
Yep.
But if she doesn't block, she's near dead.
Okay, after blockers are declared, spin this down to a mask with Billy Club and awaken 1 more time.
All right, so because his sidekick was blocked by something it wouldn't KO, he spun it down with Billy Club so that he could then use it 1 more time in Adam to bring her down to 4. Really nice play there.
Yeah, that was real smart.
Let's see if Jocelyn can get out of this, since she's only at 4 life left. So Laurier's 14.
Yeah, it's luck of the dice roll right now with all sidekicks.
I mean, if she can get enough masks, oh, not quite.
Yeah.
Then she could have still taken them.
Yeah. Yeah. With the way Laurier plays, it's really tough to get to him unless you get your luck going.
So she just atlased and res there.
Yeah.
She could have potentially instead
Time with Adam.
bought Grey Hunters and brought them in with Clayface, which I find interesting she chose not to do. As that would have converted more of her energy into masks.
3 in bag. Refill.
Oh, and I was just pointing out both of her characters level 1, so my last comment would not have actually mattered.
Yep.
I got a mask.
Yep, there's the game.
Good game.
So
And
Laurier
that was
wins
game.
in 2.
All right, so guys,
Yes.
that is 2-0, like Nick said, for this first round. That means Laurier maintains his first seat. We'll be back in a little bit with round 2. Thank you so much.